Okay, welcome everyone to Insight Meditation Community of Charlotte. We're happy you're here, whether you're brand new or you've been with us for many years. We are an educational organization. We teach from the teachings of the historical Buddha, who is often called the first great psychologist. He understood the mind. So tonight we begin our 5 weeks. Actually, before we launch in, let's say hi to each other. Let's look around. It's so nice. This is our community right now. This is how we. Hi, everyone. So good to see you. So good to see you. Glad you're here. So I'm Debbie George, one of your Dharma leaders. And tonight we will begin our 5-week series on the hindrances, the 5 hindrances to meditation. So we teachers decided to offer this series on the 5 hindrances to support us all in deepening our practice in these times when we all need it most. These teachings bring to light what hinders our mindful awareness on and off the meditation cushion. Our mind is often in autopilot, intending toward mental habits of greed, hatred, and delusion. The Buddha gave us this scheme, the 5 hindrances, that allows us to see, to be aware of these forces or tendencies with a more specific lens. English monk Ajahn Amaro describes them as pitfalls and hurdles. The 5 hindrances are sensual desire, aversion, sloth and torpor, restlessness and worry, and doubt. Each Dharma leader will unpack a hindrance for these next 5 weeks. And before looking closely at sensual desire this evening, let's have a quick overview. The hindrances teaching is found on the Noble Eightfold Path in right mindfulness. It's the first Dhamma lesson in the last of the 4 foundations of mindfulness, the Satipatthana Sutta. It turns out that mindfulness is an essential remedy. Shocker, huh? Awareness is the first intervention in overcoming the hindrances, because how can we respond to what we don't see? Why did the Buddha give this teaching to address suffering and its end? By the way, if you prefer the word stress or unsatisfactoriness over suffering or sorrow, you can kind of make a mental note. So his instruction on the hindrances empowers our mindful awareness by illuminating the energies that obscure or hinder our ability to see things clearly. Ever wonder why it's difficult to practice something as simple as awareness of breathing? It's because the mind is often occupied with one or more of the hindrances. This occupation seems enticing in the moment, but is ultimately disturbing and clearly not the way to peace. Getting to know the hindrances gives us a window to see into our mental habits. We see the habit and we don't have to believe it's true. For example, is it true that I need to curl up on the couch right now? No, but I really need some good crunchy cookies and tea. Or no, I need to think about the great time I'm going to have next year after the pandemic. Instead, I can learn to stop and feel the overwhelmed emotions I may be having with a caring, kindly concern feeling the peace of being with my true feelings, suddenly I'm not tired, hungry, or needing to go anywhere. Realizing the mind is a creature of habits, and the thought isn't true just because I thought it, is the whole point of mindfulness. We don't have to believe every urge or thought that pops up. Befriending the hindrances, getting to know them, we can recognize them. To paraphrase Philip Moffat, when we're caught up in a hindrance, the mind is clouded over. We can't know the cause of our suffering. The Buddha gave us two sets of similes to illustrate these mind states. The water similes teach us about the arisen hindrance, and the second set teach us what it's like with the absence of the hindrance. Briefly, imagine looking into a bowl filled with water. Each of the hindrances is a reason one is unable to see one's reflection clearly. With sensual desire, the water's colored with dye. With aversion, it's boiling. With sloth and torpor, it's covered with algae. With restlessness and worry, it's stirred up like a fierce wind. And with doubt, it's clouded by mud. We can't see clearly when a hindrance is present. Tonight, we'll focus primarily on the first hindrance, sense desire, our incessant searching for the pleasures of the senses. Sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, and in the Buddhist cosmology, thought is also a sense object. The gist of this lesson is that we tend to spend so much energy spinning our wheels trying to get whatever, thinking this is the way to happiness. If we can manage to avoid what we don't want, what's unpleasant, we think that's the key. So we're coloring the water and not able to see by it. Buddhism teaches that in doing so, we miss the opportunities to experience the highest happiness, which is peace. Chasing pleasurable experiences like creature comforts, like soft pillows, yummy food, wonderful music, satisfying sex, new and stimulating sights, and adventures and enticing fantasies is a basic cause of suffering. It's a delusion that happiness is found in trying to get more pleasure and avoid all pain. It just keeps us in contention with reality. Life includes the pain of disappointment, sorrow, physical and emotional discomfort, and things not going the way we'd like them to. To learn to be disenchanted with the trappings of temporary pleasures, we find we can rest in both pleasure and pain. It's ironic that the more we know our sorrow, the happier we are. Sensual pleasures are wonderful, but not the end all. We need discernment. First, let's hear from the Buddha, from the discourse of the four foundations of mindfulness. Number 4 is translated by Bhikkhu Analayo. By the way, to bring this to life, consider Bhikkhu Analayo gave up chocolate completely many, many years ago because his desire for it was so strong that it frequently disturbed his mind. So he eliminated it from his life. The Buddha says, and how does one in regard to dhammas abide contemplating dhammas in terms of the 5 hindrances? If sensual desire is present in him, he knows there's sensual desire in me. If sensual desire is not present in him, he knows there's no sensual desire in me. And he knows how unarisen sensual desire can arise, how arisen sensual desire can be removed, and a future arising of the removed sensual desire can be prevented. In this way, in regard to dhammas, she abides contemplating dhammas, internally, and externally. She abides contemplating the nature of arising, of passing away, of both arising and passing away. Mindfulness that there are hindrances is established. And that same sequence goes for all five. Nalio writes, every time a sensual desire is gratified, the act of gratification fuels ever stronger subsequent manifestations of the same desire. He says, as the Buddha points out, the way to inner peace and composure necessarily depends on gaining independence from this vortex of desire and gratification. You see, noticing when a hindrance is absent is crucial. The similes illustrating the absence of a hindrance are as follows. To be without sensual desire is like being freed from debt. Without aversion is like recovering from a physical illness. Without sloth and torpor, it's like being released from prison. Without restlessness and worry is like being liberated from bondage. Without doubt, it's like crossing a dangerous desert safely. The Buddha's counterbalance to sensual desire includes contemplating the 32 anatomical parts of the body, which include pus, guts, urine, intestines, oil, etc., as well as contemplations of a decaying corpse. You might imagine how this can be so helpful for young, healthy monks, and you might find it useful as well. But there are other ways too. How do we reduce our wanting, which in turn reduces our stress? This year in January 2020, I vowed to refrain from buying anything new. I looked around and thought, I truly don't need a thing, especially clothes and stuff. It began as an environmental effort to stop feeding the production machine, but I quickly realized it was a spiritual practice too. It has revealed how often thoughts of wanting arise. It's made me value what I already have. It's making me sensitive to those who don't have purchasing power. And it's truly bringing home the emptiness of the habit of seeking pleasure from acquiring in hopes I'll enhance my comforts and deepen my satisfaction. Shopping isn't my main form of greed, but it's still a daily practice of letting go. Watching this has been so revealing, but as revealing as I turn toward an activity like repairing or refreshing things I already have, and feeling the satisfaction of not indulging what would have been a temporary and empty pleasure. Sharon Salzberg writes, our desires delude us as we lose sight of what we actually do have in an effort to obtain what we do not have. What we end up with is a continuous sense of loss. One of our main losses is contentment. She says desire is the root of suffering because of its two accompanying qualities, seeking and guarding. Seeking is endless. It never comes to a state of rest. It never ceases. Guarding involves trying to hold on, and this creates fear and anxiety. We can live our whole lives chasing and seeking, rarely feeling satiated, always reaching for that next pleasure and hardly stopping to enjoy it before we're focused on the next thing. Added to this is the pressure of strong media messages that we'll be happier and more complete or sexier and more attractive if we only get this new enticing thing. So we train our mind to wake up to the gifts of this moment, alive on earth, appreciating those walking with us for our short time here. Connection, gratitude, and generosity are truly the highest forms of happiness as we let go of a sense of lack that fuels our desires. Traditionally, the antidote to essential desire is renunciation, letting go, focus on the impermanence of the body, and reflect on generosity. Now, it's commonly reported that with a diagnosis of a short time left to live one's life, moments become richer and more satisfying. The beauty of life here and now become crystal clear as one is filled with awe and gratitude, like this woman, Sally Tisdale, describes. On Carol's last scuba dive, we didn't go far. The water was transparent and warm, a pale blue and gold. We held hands because she felt safer that way, and just looked at this world we had come to know and explored together. We both knew it was the last time. Can you imagine how you could get off the rat's wheel and savor your moments if you knew that they were limited? Well, folks, they are. So I'm not saying we shouldn't seek life's pleasures. I can imagine some of you, and I'm there too, thinking, good, because that's what I live for. Dang the Buddha if he's going to tell me all the wonderful things in life are unspiritual and I shouldn't go for them. Haha, no. He's not saying that. Pleasure is a wonderful part of life. And let's be real, pain is a part of it too. Aya Kama, the late wise German nun, writes, "This is the cause of our human problems, wanting the pleasurable sensations, wanting the comfort, wanting the gratification, often not getting them, and never being able to keep them. Letting go of wanting means letting go of dissatisfaction." So how do we reduce our wanting, which is to reduce our craving and suffering? The Buddha recommended moderation in food as a practice. Now, he didn't mean putting less on your plate and refraining from snacking. He recommended we don't eat after the noon meal. What? You might be asking. This isn't realistic for most of us, but try to skip a meal sometimes and watch how the mind and body rebel. Then settle, then rebel, then settle a bit more. If you've ever fasted, you know that the experience quickly becomes spiritual as you take a high road to avoid the reactive misery loop, as you remember why you chose to do this. Watching the barrage of thoughts arise as you mindfully witness the mind's revolt is very illuminating. The subsequent peace I've found is rich. On long retreats, I often practice this, skipping the evening meal. My tendency is to literally obsess over what we're going to eat next. I love food more than I care to admit. So I have found it to be an invaluable teacher of letting go. Gradually, I watch my mind settle and the general agitation subside as mindfulness and contentment increase. It's one less meal to ponder about and sabotage my thoughts. And it's more uninterrupted time to practice. As we practice seeing sensual desire, we may experience the absence of the hindrance. Mindful, we're more present for experience, to savor our food in the moment without the greed factor that may typically make us eat faster or too much. We may find we enjoy the momentary pleasures with more calm. We may find our tolerance for non-pleasure, experiences of non-pleasure, waiting in line, hearing unpleasant sounds, disappointments of various stripes, aren't as big a deal. We're learning to let go. We may find less energy around our scheming to get something, be some way, and experience something in just the way we imagine. These just don't arise with as much frequency. We might find more ease in breath awareness practice as we get to know more reliable sources of peace. Analio writes that the absence of a hindrance, quote, forms a starting point for a causal sequence that leads via delight, joy, tranquility, and happiness to concentration. He adds, several discourses refer to such a tranquil state of mind, temporarily unaffected by any hindrance, as luminous, an important requirement for the development of the mind. When we see we're being pulled toward a sensual desire, I suggest smiling inwardly because you succeeded in being aware. Then feel the stress of the pull toward the desire to remember that satisfying it isn't necessarily going to bring ease. Feeding the vortex of craving and suffering keeps us in constant search mode. Try to meet the moment with sincere kindness, giving yourself compassion as you feel the changing sensations. Then see if there's peace from not feeding the hunger for whatever. See if there's ease from not taking the bait. Ayakema describes how ordinary pain, like knee pain or backache in our sitting practice, can be enlightening. She says it's a gradual process. The first step is to sit with an uncomfortable sensation. There's no wriggling out of suffering. Suffering cannot be eliminated in this way. The only way out of it is to let go of craving. One can't wriggle out of craving. One really has to let go of it. She goes on, everybody's trying to be as comfortable as possible. Here we have a ready-made possibility of learning something about our craving, the cause of all grief. If you're sitting comfortably, that's wonderful. But if you aren't, it's just as wonderful. The comfort we lack in the sitting posture gives us the opportunity to learn about our sensual desires. Hunger for food is a good one to work with since we have to feed this body so often, but perhaps not as often as we do. We can discern, am I really hungry for food? Or is it boredom, pleasure seeking, emotional hunger? Where's the feeling located in my body? If I eat, will the feeling disappear, or might I still feel lonely or despairing? I find this investigation brings relief, like a dear friend who has stopped to truly listen to me. But that friend is myself, the one who knows me best. I often find that I'm really not hungry. In conclusion, please enjoy the pleasures of life, being present to savor them fully. But develop the discernment to not be duped into thinking and acting out on every sensual desire that ultimately brings a sense of emptiness and disappointment. Don't keep chasing the fake rabbit around the racetrack. We miss the journey that way. Go for the real delights, born of mindful presence, discernment, and truth, then be here. Be here and let go. Let go. Jack Kornfield talks about the sign in front of the Las Vegas casino. You have to be present to win. Thank you so much for your attention and your so we can have Q&A now. If anybody has some questions about this. So there's two ways we can do it. One is you can use the chat function. Some couple people looks like they already have. And the other is if you know the function of raising your hand, you can use that function. So if you don't know that, just chat in. So, and if you do do the raise your hand function, I will unmute you, and then you can speak out your question. So let's see. Okay, thank you. Thank you. So far, thank yous. Appreciate that very much. Somebody said thanks for sharing your wisdom. Tough assignments. I didn't say you had to give up chocolate. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for another talk. You're welcome, everyone. You're so welcome. Now, let me see if I have any hand raising going on here. No. So what I'll do is I will share the announcements, and then if anybody has questions, you can take this time to do that. So the Beyond the Basics series, which I'm teaching, begins next Tuesday, this next Tuesday. And it's on living the Four Noble Truths, as opposed to studying the Four Noble Truths. This is sort of the noble truths on the ground in our lives. And I want to say something about the Beyond the Basics. There's twice a year we offer these classes. We have been for a number of years, and they're always different. So if you've taken a Beyond the Basics in the past, you might have studied the 5 aggregates of clinging or the 4 foundations of mindfulness. There's a whole array of different topics. So that was a little bit of confusion for someone. They thought, well, I've already taken the Beyond the Basics, but they're always different. So we like that you have a daily meditation practice and some background. If you've done the basics class, then you're ready for the Beyond the Basics. And if you have been a regular with us and practicing meditation for a long while. So the next item is the Clean Up Charlotte Freedom Park volunteer event was canceled last Saturday because of the weather. So it's been rescheduled to this Saturday, October 24th at from 9 to noon. And it's still on the website with Gail Goforth's contact info. So you can go on there and learn more about it. Second Harvest Food Bank volunteer event is going to be November 14th from 9 to noon. Contact Laura DeFreya, and that's again also on the website. There is a weekly 7 p.m. instruction period right before this at 7 o'clock. So if you know people who maybe aren't that familiar with meditation, kind of want to, they're brand new with the Sangha, they want to check it out, send them to the 7 o'clock before we have the 7:30 large group. Anybody's welcome to come. Please check out our website, www.imccharlotte.org, for upcoming events and for detailed information on offerings. If there are any non-IMCC meditation related announcements, you can let me know by raising your hand now. Okay. Okay. And I want to thank our volunteers. So everybody who helps with the website, who helps with the Zoom account, who helps in any way. We really appreciate it. Ongoing, we have Donna needs for donations. If you are in a position that you would like to support the Sangha, go to the website, and there's a couple ways you can do that. We really appreciate it. Let's see, so we have a couple hands here, and I'm going to okay, I'm going to unmute you, Babita. Hey, hi. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you very, very much for the beautiful talk. You covered a lot.
Oh,
And you mentioned the word discernment many times.
yes.
And when we are trying to develop discernment, is awareness or meditating, is that the only way of increasing our discernment and the Dhamma talks, or is there anything else which can help us discern that, like you beautifully said, you want to enjoy the pleasures, but you want to remind yourself that this is not going to give me the complete, there is going to be end of it. It is going to end. And I want to be, so I have this habit of overdoing, like not eating or over. So I have to remind myself I should eat to survive, and I should do that. But then sometimes I do not have that discernment, like what is the middle path. So
Yes.
can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure. So discernment is a word, it's kind of interchangeable with wisdom. And as we become more sensitive to our thoughts and to what is really true, so that we become, as we practice mindfulness, we start to be able to witness what's arising in us, in our minds and bodies, without getting caught up in it, more, like from more of a witness standpoint, and so that we can have more courage to know our deepest truths, our pain, okay, and not be afraid to be with our pain. And discernment is just sort of like when I was saying, am I really hungry, or am I really lonely, or afraid, or what is really true for me right now? What is really true? So as we sit, the more we sit and practice mindfulness, and all through our day, just awareness, we come to know more easily what is really the truth. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that question. Very good. Thank you, question. And we have another hand. I'm gonna unmute you, Steve. Hi, Steve. You have a question? Oh, you didn't get unmuted, Steve. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, I think. Yep. Steve.
We've been taught in the past to embrace our senses and stay in the present moment, be mindful. And I was wondering how, in one case, you can be mindful of your senses, yet in another, we're advised to avoid becoming so entangled in them that it becomes a hindrance. How do you discern that distinction between whether it's being mindful or being a hindrance?
Good question. Thank you. So we all have to answer that for ourselves, but we can see when we're really chasing you know, like chasing pleasure and avoiding what's unpleasurable, you know, which is part of life. And when we avoid what's part of life, we kind of miss, you know, we miss our life really, and we're kind of deluding ourselves, and we can get into trouble. We can get into trouble just constantly chasing down the pleasures, and you know, like people get into marital problems that way. They get into, you know, the grass is always greener. You know, just being with our sort of existential loneliness in a way helps us open our hearts to both the pleasures and the difficulties of life. And in that, we live with more ease and more peace. So we're not saying don't enjoy the senses. I mean, they're wonderful. We want to enjoy them fully with presence and with a calm, you know, with really experiencing them, not looking down at our plate and going, oh, it's empty, I must have eaten. But I was shoveling it in so quickly I didn't even notice, you know? So I don't know if that's helpful. So is that helpful?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. Okay. We have a few more chats, I think. Do we need to sign up for the Second Harvest Volunteer on November 14th? If so, where? I didn't find it on the website, or do we just show up? On the website, it should be there as far, because Gail Goforth would like to know that you are coming. I was told it's on the website, so, but if you don't find it, people are going to be showing up at Freedom Park. I think on Princeton, but I'm sorry, I was told it's on the website. So if not, there's a way to ask a question on the website. So that's what I would advise. I hope that helps. And, oh, somebody said, please contact Laura DeFreya. I will check to see if it's on the website, or we'll have it added. Oh, so I was just told if it's not there, it's going to be added. Okay, good. Second Harvest event is on the website under upcoming events. So you need to click load more at the end of the list for the Second Harvest. Okay, and I have a hand.
Sorry about that. Hey there. I just
Hey,
clarify because it got a little confusing there.
yes.
So for the cleanup Charlotte, which is October 24th, Gail Goforth is the contact on the website. And then for Second Harvest, which is November 14th, Laura DeFreya is the contact. And I did have also difficulty finding it on my phone on the website, but like Clyde said, if you go down to the total bottom of upcoming events and you hit load more, there's a link for it.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that.
Oops, I didn't mean to raise that. Skip me.
No, not at all. You're good. Okay, everybody. So we'll move on to we're just going to end with our meditation. So please get comfortable, and again, take your glasses off if you like. Just soften into the body. Notice that, again, we're sitting, body's sitting and breathing. You may like to adopt the phrase, it's okay. It's okay. So let us now turn toward ourselves, wishing ourselves well, feeling our own well. May I feel protected and safe. Please repeat this to yourself. May I feel safe. May I be safe from inner and outer harm. May I be happy and peaceful. This moment, may I feel happiness and peace. May I be physically healthy and strong as I can be. May I live with ease. Bring to mind another person, group, small group, or even an animal. And bring them into your heart. May you feel protected and safe. May you be safe from inner and outer harm. May you be happy and peaceful. May you be healthy and strong, as healthy as you can be right now. May you live with ease. Now opening our hearts to all beings all over the world, the earth itself, all the creatures, all the people, and all of us together right now. May we feel protected and safe. May we all be safe from inner and outer harm. May we be happy and peaceful. May we be healthy and strong. And may all beings live with ease. And any benefit from our practice this evening, go to the well-being, to the highest good of all everywhere. May all beings be free. Be well, everyone. Take good care. So good to see you all. Thank you for being with us. And we'll see you in the next weeks. Yay. Be well. Welcome the new people. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.